Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Racing Social Weekend Preview. Not long now to the big week, Cheltenham Festival, and not long until Constitution Hill romps home in the Champion Hurdle. And I know you all agree with me. Dawn, shake your head.
Absolutely not.
Before we kick off on this week's ITV races, we're going to start off with some of last week's results, and no better place to start than Shishkin, Dawn, when he roared back into our lives, so to speak.
It was, look, we did the big speeches last week, Joe. You always keep believing, like the song Don't Stop Believing. And my cocktail in a can to Shishkin, to Nicky Henderson, to Nico, to everybody. It was everything you want on a Saturday of racing. It was just a thing of beauty. I was that excited. I took a couple of lengths off. It was 16 lengths. And the horse was nearly smiling coming over to finish it. It was, you forgot about me and I'm back, and he's back with a bang. And I am just, this is what we need and this is what we want. And he's just a dream horse.
Definitely. Ryan, Matty, can you oppose him?
Not after last weekend.
No.
It was almost, gave me goosebumps watching him back to his best.
Yeah.
I knew from the way, as soon as he jumped the first fence, I knew the race was over. He was back into himself, travelling hard on the bridle. And I just knew that Shishkin's back.
That's it. And Jay, I'm going to put you on the spot here. If, I know Allaho's out the Ryanair, if Allaho was lining up in the Ryanair and this Shishkin turned up, be a bit of a spectacle, wouldn't it?
It would be a great race. If you'd ask me who I think would win, if you could guarantee me absolutely 100% Shishkin would turn up in that same form, it'd be very hard to see Allaho getting Shishkin. I'll be honest, going into that race, I thought Shishkin had absolutely no chance. I actually backed Fakir Dudery. I think JJ Slevin went very wide. I don't think that horse jumped on single fence. The right was on the wall for him fairly early. But as Matty said, Shishkin was travelling and he was looking like the Shishkin of old. It was actually good to see him. Like, you could see the horse actually enjoying racing. And it was a little bit where Fakir Dudery just got dropped and it was become a two-horse race, and he just loomed up to the Nichols horse, and you could just tell he was just thinking Shishkin's definitely back here. And then he opened them up and he went away, and it was brilliant to see, and huge credit to Nicky Henderson, because you see horses fall away like that, one bad run, two bad runs, and they almost become forgotten about. But Nicky Henderson's the man for getting them back when they do go a little bit sour. He can get them sweetened up and back to the best.
Yeah, and you seen by Nicky's celebration when he was crossing the finishing line, he was nearly in tears, bless him. It was great racing these moments like that. Going to quickly move on to I like to move it, winning at Kempton. Matty, I've punted him last week. I like to move it. Is he a contender for maybe playing for third place in the Champion Hurdle? He deserves to take his chance anyway, doesn't he?
Oh, absolutely. After last week, I was quite impressed. The way he quickened up really nicely, showed a real good turn of foot over 2 mile. But he might have been slightly flat about the result, I suppose. Fair Street and Nappers Hill obviously probably didn't run to form. And to be fair to our horse, Global Citizen, I thought he ran a credible race. He's had a tough time out in America. Things didn't go right. He'd come back, had a few little niggles. But it was nice to see Global back. A sort of a nice blow and prep for the Grand Annual. Again, try and regain his title. But yeah, as you said, I like to move it. He's probably worth a chance in a Champion Hurdle to try and pick up third place.
Yeah, and we need horses to actually run, otherwise we could end up with a 4-runner race.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, did you manage to catch any of the Red Mills chase on Saturday?
Yeah, I did. It was the race before the Shishkin race, wasn't it?
Yeah, Janadil, Hatton Calor and Capadano.
Capadano, yeah. Capadano was the main reason I was watching it, to be honest. I went into the bookies to Haydock to watch the Shishkin race, and that race just happened to be on before it. But I wanted to see Capadano anyway. Thought it was a pretty good race to watch. Janadel I've never really taken to, but he has been a horse he's always promised to do quite a bit, but never has. I feel like that was probably his big day, though.
Yeah. Dawn, your Coco won on Sunday, Coco Beach, and all roads head to the Grand National, I understand.
Oh, absolutely. He was fantastic. And looking at him in the parade ring before, Joe, he was just amazing. Carly used to do him, now Charlotte does him, and just he's a joy to watch. He was strong, he looked great in his coat. I have to say, all of the horses for that Grand National trial look prepped and ready, every single one of them. But he hacked around Punchestown. And I know I'll have a few people say about the Yates mare that came down, but I don't think she would have beaten him. I think after his Thyestes performance, he was going to be there or thereabouts. So you remember last week I did mention him and I thought he's there or thereabouts. And I do think, I haven't looked, I think, is he 16s or 20s or even bigger for the Grand National? I am definitely 100% confident he'll top 3 or 4. 100%. He's back to his very best. And it's bloody brilliant to see. So was I impressed? Did I have a nibble? Could I have had the forecast? Yes, but I had a nibble. It paid towards my car insurance, and I'm very grateful to Cocoa Beach. And all roads lead to the Grand National for the Unicorn.
Okay, little tip for the Grand National there from Dawn. So let's get stuck into the ITV action now on Saturday. We're going to start at Kempton, if you don't mind, and that is the 150, the honest juvenile hurdle, grade 2, over 2 miles. Now, we must remember not to get carried away by whatever wins this, because normally, whatever wins this, normally everyone gets carried away. The bookies cut whoever it is for the Triumph hurdle, and they normally get lapped. So, Jay, 7-4 favourite script writer. Is he going to be tough to beat, or is there something lurking in behind?
Oh, I think he's definitely the right favourite. I think he's definitely the one to beat, even under the penalty he is. It's obvious how much backlash he's got from his flat days and stuff like that with Aidan O'Brien. He beat the Gary Moore horse fairly easily at Cheltenham in November. That horse got a £2 swing at the weight to him, but he beat him comfortably enough for me to think that wouldn't be an issue this time round. He should be unbeaten over hurdles, this horse. He got an absolutely brain dead ride from Paddy Brennan, and I'll just say it as it is last time. Like, he couldn't have went any wider at Cheltenham. It's like typical Paddy Brennan riding Cheltenham. If he went any wider, he'd be running pedestrians over in the stands, you know what I mean? And then, I don't know whether the saddle slipped or he just got to the front too soon. And I know Milton Harris has said this is just a horse who doesn't do nothing in front, and you could physically see that when Comfort Zone got to him. He didn't go past him like you probably thought he would watching it. He was always going to win the race. Comfort Zone when he come up to him, he didn't exactly go away from him, but you could see Paddy Brennan's body language. I think on the road to Cheltenham, they zoomed in on it. You could see Paddy Brennan like bending down, shouting in the saddle like he was just annoyed with himself. So he knows himself that wasn't one of his finest rides, and I'd be fairly confident if he was to meet Comfort Zone again, he would beat him. And I do think this is England's best chance of getting anywhere in the Triumph. This also, I think he's really good, and I think if he can hold on to him here around Kempton, he'll be the one to beat.
Okay, Matty, you're a fan of scriptwriter?
I am, as a horse. Do I think he wins Triumph? No. Do I think he wins on Saturday? No. I've actually gone with the Paul Nicholls horse.
Middleton.
Rare Middleton. He was very green on debut for Paul Nicholls. Obviously, had a few runs in France, and he jumped very awkwardly, novice-y. And although he only won by half a length, I think it was Taunton. He shaped as if he won that cosily, and I think Paul Nicholls hasn't put him in this grade 2 Adonis for nothing. On his next run, he can win a juvenile by half a length and then go straight for an Adonis. He obviously thinks a lot of this horse. So if he's sharpened up, a bit less green, I think 9-2 is big enough price for him.
Okay. I'm safe to say that the Irish juveniles do seem level above what we've got over here. And obviously, there's one coming over for Joseph. Darryl Jacobs on Newsret. I know you're a fan of the horse, and 10-3 is pretty good value, isn't it?
Very good value, and he's carrying 11 stone. And the way the Meniere double greens are keeping us in the double green, you're kind of going, well, you know, like, okay, the 18 lengths to Blood Destiny the last time we seen Newsret run we'll forgive him for that because we discussed it. I don't think anybody wanted to try and go near Blood Destiny, and we still don't know enough about Blood Destiny because nothing has come to eyeball him. The same way we said with Pictory, nothing had come to eyeball him. Then we seen when something did. So Newsret, he's got Golden Horn on the dad, he's Daylami on the mums, dream stuff. I thought an awful lot of him when I seen him at Punchestown in November. Daryl jumped him as a 2-year-old and said he was so damn impressive and that he's going to be one of the leading Irish juveniles. The race at Christmas where Lossie Mouse won and Gala Marcoux was second, we seen they then swapped round for the Dublin Racing Festival. Cougar, I keep saying this now, Cougar was to run Sunday at Naas, he's not now. I think Cougar messed up that race a bit for Newsret, if you go back and watch. And I think the colt, even though he's a colt, and we discussed this like with high definition, and like I always say, I know nothing about this, you boys will, he might mind himself a bit more than the geldings. So I think he is really, really good value at that. You know, like, am I going to have a nibble? I am. I adore Script Writer. I do. The weight does worry me a little bit, but he's always there or thereabouts. He's always paid my bills. 11-1 on the flat at Wolverhampton at Christmas. That was the steal of the decade. And Perseus Way, I will give a shout for him. Someone has told me they have him at 50-1 for the Boodles. I was looking around. I couldn't find him at 50-1. Second to Script Writer, that 25 length win at Leicester, that really good win at Huntington. He's by Sea the Stars. I have a soft spot for him. But out of the three of them, and to me, these three boys are just glorious, and I'm going to so much enjoy this. Newsret, I'm worried about weight. So for not Newsret, Script Writer, I'm worried about weight. So for value, I'm going to say Newsret, and Joseph ain't sending him over for nothing. And the way the double greens are running, you know, you have to. And then maybe we'll start to see, we have seen, but what Daryl keeps saying, that he is a very impressive juvenile, with his jewellery or not.
Yeah, out of the front two in the market, I would slot preference for Newsret with the weight advantage. But in a race that can throw up the odd unknown quantity, so to speak, and Nicky's sending one here first time up in a grade 2, another by Golden Horn, a filly, Power Puri, if that's how you pronounce it, ex flat filly. Don't you be impressed with that? You would expect Kempton, you would expect Kempton and the ground to suit her, and just like a bit like Matty said with Rare Middleton, second run coming into a grade 2, she's coming in here first run. So he must quite highly of her. So at 12-1 each way, I think she's an interesting alternative to the favourites.
She had a really good flat pedigree here as well, Joe.
Yeah, she was with William Haggis, was she? She rated 85, 86.
Yeah, she won the last 2 starts for them as well. She looks like the type of mare who'd probably take the hurdle on as well. I thought she was an interesting runner, to be honest. Yeah,
I think 12-1, you're getting 3 places. It's not a bad little bet, I don't think. So we move on to the Pendle now. Grade 2 novice chase, 2 mile, 4.5 furlong. Small field, Matty, just the 5 runners, but it looks fairly competitive to me.
Yeah, it is quite competitive. I don't think it's obviously this time of year for these graded races, we're not expecting top quality horses in these graded races, really, with Kempton around the corner. But I think Boot Hill will just win this race. It was a bit surprising he got beat last time, but I think he's suited to a sharp track. Doncaster's obviously a big galloping track where he got beat last time. I think back at Kempton, although he's stepping up in trip from his last win round here, I think he jumps well enough to scoot around the tight bends, and I think 13-8 is more than a fair price, and I think he probably is just too good for these.
Okay. Does the trip worry you, Jay, with Boot Hill?
He's a quick horse. Like it wouldn't really bother me around Kempton. I think the luxury you've got of backing him. You know, Cheltenham's never been on the agenda for him. It's always been Aintree. So you know, you haven't got that worry. The one I actually do like is That's All Right Gino for Jamie Snowden. He's obviously having a fantastic season with his horses. On this type of ground, I think 2.5 miles is going to prove his ideal trip. Soft ground last time was stiff at track at Cheltenham. He ran a good race, come second to stage start in what's traditionally a very strong handicap, but he did pull clear of the remainder of the field in that race too. Although I do think Unexpected Party was a bit of a non-trier in that race, but I do think he ran a race full of promise all the same. This is a bit of an easier race on an easier track, and I think this will be enough to see him go one better and get his head in front here.
Yeah. One thing about Boot Hill, I didn't like the way he was beat last time with Tommy's Oscar. I mean, I'm a big fan of Tommy's Oscar, but to me, he's not as good a chaser as he was hurdler. The one I do like, and I think it can be very tough to beat, and that is Solo. He's got plenty of experience. He has been called a lot of names, and probably has been called a lot of names by people on this podcast, haven't we, Joe? Me and you have slated him in the past. But he's got plenty of experience for a race like this. He drops into novice company for the first time in 3 runs. That's 3 runs he's been in novice handicaps. His seasonal debut was very good. He is a good horse. I think he'll be tough to beat. I think if you go back and watch his run behind Balco Costello, he was giving Balco Costello about £8 that day, and he gave him a good race. And obviously Balco Costello has franked that form at Sandown behind Jerry Colomb. I think that's the strongest bit of form in the race. And Solo at 4-1 for me, fantastic bet, and probably my bet of the day. Dawn, what do you like?
Were they on us on this card a few years ago, Joe? Was that him?
Yeah, and then he went straight favourite for Triumph, didn't he? Do you remember?
Yeah, that was right. Yeah, I was thinking, was it him or was it another Johnny Delahaye horse? But yeah, it was, wasn't it? And then nothing's come right for him since.
That's it, yeah. In and out, but I think he's just a bit of a slow burner. I think in the next couple of years he will come alive, a bit like Pete Dory to last weekend. But definitely win this on Saturday. Dawn, who do you like in the Pendle?
I'm kind of I'm with you, Joe, and then I'm with Boot Hill as well. Boot season still, so we like a bit of Boot Hill. I loved his win at Ascot. I thought he was brilliant at Ascot. He has beaten That's All Right, Dino, and I wouldn't take much out of him. I do like Tommy's Oscar as well, but I'd be fair on him from being bet by him. He also, that win at Kempton, the horse that was second to him, Risque, yeah. However you say it, he won at Newbury 13 days ago. Nice bit of form there. Johnny Burke and Harry Fry on a Saturday seems to be a dream combination. Then my case for Solo. He was born on Valentine's Day, which is lovely. If you want a bit of romance, he's 4-1. He was 8 in the Triumph, Burning Victory, and the Goshen race, Joe, yeah. The Goshen race, and third to Edwardstone in 2021. So he's value at 4-1. So I'm with you. Maybe he is a slow burner. So again, I go, well, if you want a favourite, and we'll go with Boot Hill, you want the obvious, fair enough. If you want a bit of value, Harry and Paul, 4-1, Solo, the boy that was born on Valentine's Day.
Yeah, that's number 1 right for Solo. So the 3 o'clock Kempton now, handicap chase, grade 3 miles. Dawn, we'll stay with you. Throwdown lines appear, and everyone loves a fairy tale on a Saturday. I don't think this is going to be the day for Throwdown, but what do you think?
You know how I feel about Throwdown, Joe. You know, like it's another kind of, will it be another type of Shishkin Saturday? I don't know. That run behind a Hoi Senior last time, I looked at the lengths, and there was nearly a motorway between them, you know. I hope and pray, and I know I make the speeches about never give up, and he could prove us all wrong. You know, you're looking at a King George winner, that Badger Beer, you were going, well, he's back to his very, very best. And Bryony, he just does it for Bryony. So if he wins on Saturday, he'll be doing it for Bryony as well. I think they're the dream team. Ansan, the obvious favourite, really like him. You know, I thought his 17 length win was incredible. 6 to Lemilos. You've got Remastered in there. A bit of Co-Rock Rambler, who everybody's talking about for the Grand National. You've that bit of form. And then Keen Quirk is over. He's taken off 5 off Captain Ord, who we seen win last week. You know, I was going back through his form a bit as well. Chris Williams, You've got the Zanza form in there. You've got Copper's Cross, Brave Sescal, Venetius, who I think an awful lot of. Fifth to Hewitt last year at Sandown, who is, you know, my crazy bet for the Gold Cup should the rain not come. So, okay, you want me to pick one, do you?
Yeah.
Or can I have two?
You can have two in a race like this.
For romance, Froden, but I'm a dreamer. And if he does it, I will absolutely be delighted. Cap Nord with our good boy, Keen Quirk, coming over to take off 5. He has to be there or thereabouts. I love Ansan, but I'm going to stick with Cap Nord. So not solely because, but because Keen is coming over and that value, he's worth, you know, he's worth that £5. He's value.
Definitely. Matty, obviously, we've all of Frodon on here, but it seems with Frodon at the minute, he's at that stage of his career where there is no plan of his season. It's like he runs, if he's well, he runs again. If he's well, he runs again. There's no actual plan to it anymore, is there?
Well, when you've got a horse like that who's getting on a bit now, obviously his best days are behind him. You can't sort of pick and choose your races with him. You can't sort of make a plan out. You're running when he is well, when he's feeling well in himself. You go to the tracks that he's won at before, and that's what you got to do with these older horses. Obviously, everyone admires Frodon and Bryony together. They're a fantastic partnership. But I think they'll struggle again this weekend. I actually think Ansam, obviously a favourite of mine, he won for me a few weeks back over course and distance. And Ansam is an absolute lunatic. He will just front run and he will ping fences. He sweats up. He's just a head case, really. But I actually love the horse. I think he's a fantastic horse. A £7 rise for a 17 length win, it isn't too harsh, really. I think if he gets a soft lead out in front, which he might not with obviously Frodon, but if whatever horse takes on Ansam is silly out in front, because that horse gallops and he jumps. Course and distance winner. He is the right favourite, and I think he will manage with a £7 rise.
Okay, strong vote for Ansam. Jay, very competitive. Any big prices lurking for you?
Yeah, there is actually. You'll probably remember, Joe, a few years ago, Boxing Day, I napped Killer Clown.
Yeah, I remember it. Yeah.
Boxing Day, and he bolted up, and I haven't backed him since that day, and I haven't intended on until this weekend where I'll be having a good bet on him. He's only ever won 3 races in his life, this horse, and if you look at them, all 3 of his wins have come on fairly easy flat tracks. His 2 visits to Kempton, he's won both races by wide margins. I think the other one he won was at Wincanton. The last one at Kempton was off a mark of 140, and then he shot up to, I think he was like 148 the last 3 runs in better races, and he has struggled a little bit. I don't think he's massively well handicapped or anything like that, but he's being dropped again £3 by the handicap, but he's down to 145. Early on, I never really seen him as a 3 mile horse. That was half of the reason why I tipped him going back to Boxing Day, because I thought he was a point-to-point winner. And I think they were trying to make him a 3 miler at the time, and they would run him on stiff tracks like Sandown. He just wasn't getting home. But I do think now, the older he's got and the more experience, I do think this is the time to try 3 mile with him on a track like Kempton, where you know he likes it. Pretty sound jumper as well. About 14 to 1 each way, but I'd be fairly happy with being the places.
Okay, good strong vote for Killer Clown. The one I actually like, me and Jeb spoke about him loads in the past, mainly regarding ground, is St Calvados. He finished last season on a high winning the Oaks Chase on good ground. Disappointed at Ascot back in November in a match being by Call Cody. The rumours David Maxwell didn't actually know he didn't know the horse. He just purchased him and he'd never really sat him, and it was just a bit of a struggle for him. He was 4th from 6th in January on soft ground. Nichols has come out and said this horse does not like soft and heavy ground, and we got confused for years back, Joe. We just thought he was a bit of a mudlard, didn't we, when he was with Harry Whittenden? Yeah,
he was also used to really like early on, and then he's just one of them, just lost his way a little bit, didn't he, along, and then he'd pop up with the odd good run, and then he'd just go off the boil again, and then I just sort of give up with horses like that. I can never find him right.
Yeah, Harry Cobden's back on here. He hasn't run a handicap since January, 1st of January 2020. And on that day, he was second off 157 at Cheltenham. He's running King George's, as we all know, Ryanair's, Ascot Chase, Melling Chase. He has been dining at the top table for the last 2-3 years. He's off 154 here. I think he's a great bet to go well. Ground that, good ground. We've been told by Paul Nicholls that he needs good ground to be seen in best light. So I'm going to take a chance on St. Calvados, about 7-1, 8-1 mark. In a race like this, you can use his experience, you can use his past ability that he's got and proved, and I think he'll go very well.
Hey Joe, taking Maxwell off, who we all love, and putting Cobden on. How well handicapped with this horse be just off jockey changes? About £10, something like that.
There is that. I think David Maxwell's injured, isn't he?
Yeah, broken thumb. Broken thumb, yeah.
Bloody hell,
Is it?
Maxwell.
Saving himself for the festival.
No PlayStation or anything else.
So we move on to the last race at Kempton. We're going to look at the 340, the Dovecot Novice Hurdle, Grade 2, 2 mile. I've looked at this race and it's fairly simple. I'm a massive fan of Master Chewy, which brings Hansard into it. Hansard smashed Master Chewy, giving him weight. Short and simple. Hansard wins and he wins well. Dawn, the Dovecot, the Moors got a favourite. What do you reckon?
Well, right. You know the way I'm an anorak when it comes to breeding. And I got a compliment the other day that I'm like Jane Mangan when it comes to breeding, right? So I've got your favourite, Hansard, who actually ran over with us for Charles O'Brien, Vincent O'Brien's son. And he was fourth at Gowran when Mercury won, when we all thought Mercury was going to be, you know, really good bumper horse. Harry Swan was fourth on him that day. And yeah, I see the Master Chewy coming in there. This pod seems to adore Master Chewy. He's always let me down, so I don't know. He seems to be, am I right? Is he 50-1 for the Supremes, Joe Hansard? Does he go for the Supremes?
Last time I looked, he was up there, yeah. Big price.
Yeah. I'm not saying he's a Supreme horse, but he's no Feely Syndicate. So, you know, like he's good. But the other horse that really took my notice, and it's because of the anorak in me, bred by Mags Mullins and the late Peter Magner, who was responsible for Brigitte, who was, okay, bear with me now. I'm going to make a case for this horse at 12-1. Who was the mum of Henry the Navigator. So you've Mags Mullins in there, the trainer, and you've Peter Magner, who bred this horse. The horse was second to Deeply Superficial in a point-to-point. Fourth to Lucia in March at Sandown last year. She was second to Queen's Gamble in April 2022. She won at Ludlow. She won at Fakenham. She won at Plumpton. She's 40-1 for the Mayor's Novices. She's carrying 10-12. She's Milton Harris's. Johnny Burke's up. Mullenbeg by Walk in the Park. You know, we were only talking about Walk in the Park, even though I think Yates is still the best, Jay. And was sixth most recently to Fergal O'Brien's Good Horse Punctuation. So not only have you got the bit of breeding in there, she's really bloody interesting because you've got Lucia, you've got Queen's Gamble, you've got Deeply Superficial. How is she 12-1?
Yeah, you think you've sold it.
Should I get into law? You know, I'm the Ali McBeal of racing. Just watch when they all come after me with forks tomorrow when they lose their houses on her. But I like her, and she's got a dynasty in here with Mags Mullins and the late Peter Magner.
Okay, that's some screen record if she goes up and hacks up in the Dovecot. Matty, Hansard.
Yeah, he just wins. Yeah, none of this Mullenbeg. No.
You muted me anyway. I know you did.
As soon as you mentioned a mare or filly running, I was like, mute. Yeah, no.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
No, honestly, to be fair, I think Hansard is the Dovecot is always weak. In my opinion, you're not going to see a festival winner here. he was quite impressed with Plumpton, obviously beating Master Chewy, who actually we all love. And he actually did not disgrace himself at all in the Betfair hurdle.
No,
He ran an absolute blinding race. And I remember Lucas saying on good ground, big horse, he probably didn't want to let himself down. And he probably was right there. The horse probably didn't let himself down on good ground. That's probably the best hurdle form in the race with Hansard. Obviously, Mullenberg was a very, very good bumper horse. Yeah, I just think Hansard will just be too good for these. But kind of see him running well in the Supreme, no.
Right. Okay, Hansard done sold Mullenberg to you.
He hasn't sold Mullenberg to me, although I did like it in the bumpers.
Walk in the park.
Sorry. I do think that Hansard's a decent horse, but I think it's important to remember that punter went against Master Chewy. Like Master Chewy's now a 7 race maiden in total. I just don't think he'd want to be winning this by bloody 25 lengths to be even being considered for the Supreme. But to be fair, Gary Moore did run Shall We Have One More in this last year, who got beaten it, and he did run on and ended up running in the Supreme. Sadly lost his life. I think he would have come 4th or 5th. He come down at the last. He was a good horse him as well. Don't think this horse was anything like him, no. The one I actually like is You Can Tango. This is a proper good ground jumper. He's being highly tried. I think he's won of his first 3 starts over hurdles, and then they threw him in the Supreme trial at Cheltenham, the Grade 2. Now, that probably sounds better than it was. The race was pretty poor. A few winners have come out from it since, but at lower levels and things like that. He comes second to an Irish horse in it, but Ollie Murphy never seemed to lose any faith in it and any faith in him after that. And then I think the following month he threw him in the Tolworth in Grade 1. Massive price for that, and I don't think he went a yard on the softer heavy ground and he pulled him up. But I think this will be a case of lowering the sights here, and I think you'll see a different horse. And I think 11 to 2 is probably a big price for him, especially what I said about Hansard, who's making the market. I think he's a decent horse, but I don't think he's anything special at all. What's the second favourite? The Nichols horse did he pull up last week in the Betfair hurdle? Did he, the Nichols horse? Or
yeah,
he was eased down, wasn't he, towards the end? I wouldn't really be too fussed by him. Ollie Murphy's got some really good 2-mile novice hurdlers this season, and this is the one he's been highly trying. So I think massive step down in class for this one, and I think he'll win it. Okay.
So that's the action over at Kempton or done and just here. We're going to have a look at one race at Newcastle, and that's the Ida proper marathon trip, 4-mile one. We'll let Matty go last because he's told us he's got the winner of this, the best bet of the weekend. Jay, we'll stay with you. Ida handicap, always a tricky race. I struggled in it in the past massively, so I'm not looking forward to this year.
Yeah, no, it's a race I don't do too well in this, to be honest, Joe. Wasting my time really because Matty's got the winner and it's not the horse I've picked. The one I've gone for here is No Cruise Yet. He's run from £2 out the handicap, but this is the type of horse the England tend to do really well with. He's only an 8-year-old, but he's got plenty of experience in these staying types of races. His winner Haydock on Betfair Chase Day was really impressive. He beat Fanning the horse at Twitten Davis, Papa Poutini and Nesta Park as well. He's obviously they're decent enough horses. That was over an extended 3-mile 4. Now this is a bit of an extreme trip of like 4-mile 1 furlongs or whatever it is. No one's going to know if he's going to stay up, but from what he's shown me, like he'd give you confidence that he would. But obviously we won't know till we try it. The type of horse he is like a proper staying chaser. If you look on him, he was 0 for 10 over hurdles, and over fences he's 5 from 15. So he's just a proper staying chaser, this horse, and I think he's ready for the crack at this. He's got a really low weight to help him try and get the trip. I think he'll go well. He's a fairly big price.
Yeah. Well, every time Kitty's light runs, I always get like 5 texts from people the night before saying Kitty's light tomorrow, because I have been known. I'm a massive fan of the horse. But kind of like as an old flame, I've given up on him until the last 2 runs when I've thought, he's coming back to himself, and he still gets beat. He's very short here. I think he's about 5 to 2. I'm going to have to take him on, even though everything, the trip is going to suit him, the ground is going to suit him, and he's been dropped a lot since last year. But I'm going to have to stick with Dawn will know I'm going to go. I'm going to go with the Galloping Bear. I can't oppose him. I'm trying to trying to find some form on good ground and for him, and he hasn't actually got any. I think that's just a bit. You can't say a horse isn't going to go on ground when he's run on heavy a lot. I think that's just the time of the races. The races he's running have been the time of year. The last, it's always been heavy, so he just gets pigeonholed as a heavy ground horse. So he's worth a go on this ground, definitely. But also how the big weight he's got. The weight he's got to carry isn't that much of an issue on this ground. If it's heavy ground, and you know what it's like when you've got a massive 11 stone 12 to lump around on heavy ground, it's going to be an issue. But on good ground, it's not. I was a bit disappointed with the Welsh National. He didn't jump as well as he can. Jumping normally is an asset. He flies the fences. 4 mile 1, again, like most of them, they've got to prove they stay this far. It's proper test. I think the trap's going to suit him. And I just think he's jumping. If he's jumping, well, like it was when he beat Bristol Demai last year, I do think he'll be bang there at the end. And 4 mile 1, it's going to be no issue for him.
Joe, when he beat Bristol Demai, he was juiced up for the eyeballs.
I was trying to see Dawn laughing. Careful, Dawn.
We won't talk about the war. He's been to rehab, Joe, anyway, hasn't he? You know all about this environmental contamination. It's a dangerous thing. Be careful who you're around, you know?
Well, it could be a bit like the, I don't know if any of you are following the boxing, Conor Ben, 30 eggs a day, and it gave a positive test.
Someone like that, isn't it?
That's it, yeah.
I need some of that.
But yeah, the Galloping Bear for me, I think he's going to go very close indeed. But if Kitty's Light wins, I am going to be a bit like, I've been stabbed in the back here. Dawn, what do you fancy? We'll leave Matty to last.
You know the gift that I send you from Harry Potter where Sirius Black says, I've waited 12 years for this.
Yeah.
And my waiting's over. Well, I think with Kitty's Light, that gift is going to be coming your way.
Yeah.
I think the dry spell is finally, hopefully like myself, over. 699 days. I'm going to ignore that. We were making a whopping case for Anzam. He was third to Anzam. 7th to Remastered. Bit of Zanza in there. That race of Ewick's where we were all told Ewick was going to win. He was third to him. 2nd to Win My Wings in the Scottish National. What's not to like about him? You know, you do make a very solid case for Galloping Bear, but we have to be fair. As Jay made the good point. I'm just going to give a shout out because I'm allowed one flatty shout out to Ian Williams. Has a runner in this, one more flurry. He actually has a runner in Saudi tomorrow as well, Enemy, who won in Dubai a couple of weeks ago. So it's just a shout out. Might be one to like have a little each way play in Saudi. And Eva's Oscar, the beautiful white horse. I know they say there's no such thing, but to me, he's gorgeous. His win at Cheltenham back in December. He's 25 to 1 for the Ultima. He's actually 100 to 1 for the Grand National. Now that my Snow Leopardess has gone out of the Grand National, which I was crying about, but we don't cry over a lost euro. He's 100 to 1 for the Grand National. He's carrying 12 stone. It's probably a bit heavy on the old boy. Would I love to see him win? I absolutely would. But Kitty Light's dry spell is coming to an end. Get ready for the gifts. I'm going to keep sending it and keep sending it and keep sending it. It won't be a Galloping Bear.
Okay, if that is the result, my phone's going off until Sunday morning. Matty, the floor's yours. We've been waiting in anticipation.
Well, that was a waste of 10 minutes of you three talking about the Hydra anyway. I actually think Rose Dobbin wins this race with Wrath and Law. Dawn, this is one for you. I don't know how you say it. It's one of them French ones.
Oh, no.
Actually, it ran really well in this race last year, off 131. It's beaten 22 lengths on soft ground, very soft ground, heavy ground. Was off 114 the time last time, and I think they needed to win to get in, and it won on good to soft, up to a mark of 118. It did open up 20-1. It's now into about 12s. I think this horse has been absolutely laid out for this race. It's £15 lower than last year on good ground. Won last time on good ground. Just up £4 for that win. I think it'll take a lot of beating, and I can see it going off a lot shorter than 12-1 on the day.
Okay. Rose Dobbins horse for Matty. I'm not going to try and pronounce the name, just call it Rose Dobbins horse.
With an
Rose
accent.
Dobbins horse.
With an accent. Please,
Yeah.
Matt.
Rose Dobbins horse in the pink silk. That's the one.
So we're going to head across to your neck of the woods now, Dawn. The Bobby Joe Chase at Fairyhouse, 3:55, grade 3, 3 mile, 1.5 furlong. Looking at the form, Dawn, well, there's no notable form of such, is there?
No, not really, Joe. I mean, you've got Carefully Selected in there, that way, and he's your Thyestes winner. He bet Dunboyne by the short head. You don't see much of him, but when you do, he seems to run well. He was third to Manila Indo. He was second to Allaho. In 2019, I know we're going back pre-COVID, which feels like a million years ago. Third Tornado Flyer as well. You make a good case for him. That day at the Thyestes, I would have never thought, but with Willie, you never ignore them. And maybe he's now back to his best. Our guy Vanillier, he's back in the cheek pieces for you again.
Yeah.
Fell in an absolute heap at Leopardstown, but we'll forgive him for that.
Fall. It was a nasty fall.
It was, and I'm so the main thing was, like all the time you go, just get up, please get up. You can't ignore his Albert Bartlett win. He was third last year. Third to Fury Road at Down Royal, who Gordon has been waxing lyrical about Fury Road for the Ryanair as well. And I mean, he's worth an each way play for that. But Vanillier with cheek pieces on, if he's back to his best, I think he's thereabouts. And with what Coco did last week, far class. We can say again, he's got the Triumph Hurdle curse. But should he win this, do we start thinking about him like we think about Tiger Roll? I'm not saying he's a Tiger Roll, but if he goes and does something great in the Grand National, the Triumph Hurdle curse is then broken again, hopefully. So he's 10-1. Sam Ewing is up. He's worth an each way play. Carefully Selected, he's 3-1. I don't know if the same horse that turned up at the Thyestes is going to turn up. And Vanillier, if Albert Bartlett Vanillier turns up, he has to be thereabouts. I'm kind of all over the place, and I'm not sticking to just one. I've made cases for 3. Kenboy is favourite, and I can see why. Are you going to push me?
Yeah.
Far class.
I'm actually going to stick with Vanillier. He was quite fancy for that big handicap that you mentioned when he fell in. He was well backed into about 6-1, I think. He fell at the 6th fence. He hasn't quite proved himself for the fences as everyone thought he would. But the thing is, they are persisting with him. And I did think a couple of runs ago, maybe they would be tempted by the Stayers Hurdle.
I thought that after the National Run Chase last year, Joe.
Yeah,
Stayers
yeah.
Hurdle.
But obviously they're persisting over fences. He's still only 8, so he has got time on his side. And like I say, he's got the cheap pieces back on today. With question marks about this whole field, really. I mean, Carefully Selected's got some good form, but it's very rare we see him. There is a field full of like dodge pots, so to speak. A bit harsh, but it forms there. So Vanillier 18-1, I think if he's some kind of back to his best, like you say, he'll run a big race at 18-1. That'll do for me. Jay, anything to take around the Bobby Joe Chase?
Yeah, I haven't had a proper in-depth look at it, to be honest. Just had a quick glance through. I just think probably Kenboy would have a bit too much class for these. These are all obviously Grand National types of horses. The one Dawn said, far class. He ran in the National as a very young horse and come 5th, and I love this horse myself, Sustained Chaser. I thought he would have went back for it last year and try and go one better, but they never did for some reason. Seeing he's up 149 here, I'm not sure what weight he was allotted at Aintree last week or whatever, but I'd love to see him go back to Aintree. Wouldn't be surprised if he was there or thereabouts on the week on Saturday.
I think he got 10-9, Jay. I'm nearly sure.
Do you know
Yeah,
if the
I'm
plans to
nearly
go back
sure.
down or not?
The which?
Do you know if the plans to go back to Aintree with him?
I think so. I think
hope
that's
it
the
is.
main plan. Yeah.
I'd like to see that.
I mean, that's a nice weight.
Yeah, it is. And Gordon Elliott loves throwing as many as he can get at it. Yeah.
Matty, Bobby Joe Chase.
I actually slightly agree with Dawn and Jay there. I think Farclas got a nice weight for the national, and he's a solid each way play in this race. But I actually quite like Longhouse Poet for this race.
Yeah.
He's obviously been campaigned over hurdles all season to protect his mark for the national, and now he's been allocated his weight straight back over fences. All systems go. I think he actually wins this race on Saturday. I actually think he will win this race. But Farclas is his closest opposition, so I'm happy. I probably will have an actual play on the forecast. Longhouse Power, I just think, has sort of been laid out for a national, and now the weights are allocated. Try and win as many races or pick up as much prize money as possible, and it obviously won't affect his mark now for the national. And I think 5-1. I think he's got a winning chance.
Okay. Matty's throwing out double figure price in the order, now forecasting the Bobby Joe.
Spoiling us.
Lanzarote, here we come, right?
Finally.
So, well, looks like this week I'm not going to be the only one on here Goshen bashing, because Jay's come on just for that. Anything else at the weekend? Obviously, anyone else fancy the National Spirit Hurdle, Jay, Goshen?
I haven't looked at the race, to be honest, Joe, but I wouldn't even waste my breath speaking about that animal, to be honest.
Anything else on the card on the weekend?
You don't want my little case for Fontwell, no?
Yes, me. Anything else? Yeah.
Oh well, I have something for Nace, but I have something for this National Spirit too. Okay, here we go. It's not going to be long. I swear. Goshen I love, and anytime I have a shitty time, I'm saying I'm having Goshen up a day. So Royale, third at DRF, old boy now, but great to see him. And Proshima.
Yeah.
Skeletons. Right, okay. A little bit of flat again. Second to Guyat, third to Military Law, 8 to Kew Gardens, and third to Alan King's horse, Who Dare Wins. This is sexy flat form. Never mind the national hunt, sexy flat form. And beat Thomas Darby by 10 lengths, who, won 28 days ago at Ayr, was fourth to Sire de Burley at Aintree, and second in a Supreme. So what price did I see? I can't remember. I think we're up there in the price anyway, but I am fascinated with the guy at the Military Law, the Kew Gardens, and the Who Dare Wins. I thought he was definitely worth a mention. So I know it's probably bonkers, but for a fascination point of view, I might have my 50 cents, not 50p each way here.
Okay. And anything else take your eye at all?
Yeah, at Nace in the bumper. We seen last week Brighter Days Ahead and Indiana Jones, who are out of a mare called Matty. Now, Matty is an unraced mare, but she is the mum of Mighty Potter, French Dynamite, Indiana Jones, Brighter Days Ahead, and this horse, Caldwell Potter, who runs in the bumper on Sunday at Nace. The Codfather is up. And I think with the way this mum is producing these fantastic horses, shout out to the mum, and Caldwell Potter has to win. The first race at Nace, Tony Martin has Tighties. testes.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was 5th to comfort zone at Navan. I think she should be there or thereabouts. We've got Battle Over Doyen out. Hey Johnny is out. Lily de Burley, who was 2nd to Fun. Carn Fornock is out against Hey Johnny, who, was 2nd to What Unites Us, who came close to Facile Vega. Not this year, last year. I know everybody's questioning Facile Vega now, but I still have a lot of faith in that horse. So there's very, very good racing at Naas on Sunday, and the one that sticks out to me is Caldwell Potter because of Matty, the mum. So that's it. I'm done.
Any opinion on the National Spirit, Matty?
Not really. It's one of them races that's full of sort of has-beens, nearly horses, in and out, dipping in and out of form. If I was going to pick one, it probably would just be So Royale, just for his sort of his back class sort of thing. Yeah, he hasn't been sort of the same horse this year, but he hasn't been a bad horse this year as such. He's been fairly consistent, seconds, thirds in decent races. Probably wouldn't have a bet in the race. But Quinta de Mars back out of Fontwell this weekend.
Yeah.
Over fences, first time cheek pieces. So fingers crossed he can run his race. And that would make me a very happy boy this weekend if Quinta wins anyway.
Yeah, definitely. All the best with Quinta. We'll be cheering him on. Jay, and have you seen anything else on the card? It's pretty low key, isn't it? All weekend.
Yeah, I haven't really looked at some of these cards at all, to be honest, Joe. I'll be busy Sunday, so I won't even probably be watching the racing.
Yeah, so it's quite low key, isn't it, as the build up to Cheltenham continues. That concludes our Racing Social weekend preview. Apologies, it's a day late, but we've had other engagements. But we'll be back next Thursday looking at next weekend's ITV races. So all the best, everyone. Happy punting, and we'll see you next week.